Hello crafting friends, it's Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stampin' Sunday. I'm so happy that you're able to join me either here on the live or the replay on Facebook, and of course on my YouTube channel for the, I guess you could say, replay as well. Make sure you say hello in the chat, in the comments, tell me where you're watching from, and let's get started. So this is week 2 of Pets and More and Simply Stad. Last week we made some cards focusing on using paper scraps. Tonight we're going to focus on what can you use when you kind of got a stamping slump. And so I'm going to show you what I do when I need some new ideas for some making some cards. So what I use are card sketches, and here is one from OperationWriteHome.org. It's number 146 from their card sketches. I just go online and Google card sketches, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of card sketches come up, and then I have a document where I just copy in the ones that I like the best or look to me like they can give me some inspiration, and when I don't have an idea, then I go to that, because then I'm still creating my own card, but the layout is right there for me, and it just gives me some great ideas. So the 2 cards that I'm going to show you tonight, I used this sketch. So let's get started. So the first card is just a cute little card. I'm going to be using I'm going to use different colors, but the same layout for both cards. And so this one uses the owls. It's just a note card, and I'll show you how I put this together. So for materials, you're going to need the same thing, and I love card sketches that, like in this one, it has all the measurements. So you're going to need a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. You're going to need a piece of 2 inches by 3 1/4. A smaller piece of 3 3/4 by 1 inch, and then a piece of 4 1/4 times 2 by 2 inches. Kind of the cool thing about using a card sketch is that you can add as many layers as you want. So if you want to add a layer to this, and I'm going to show you that I did add a layer to this first one, you can add bling and ribbon and all the embellishments you want. The card sketch is just like the basics to start. So I have added a piece of 4 inches by 5 1/4 basic white to go on the inside of the card. I am using, for my piece that's 4 1/4 by 2 inches, I am using the Neutrals designer series paper. And so that is one piece. And then I just took this piece and turned it over to the stripes. And this is my 3 3/4 inch by 1 inch piece. I have just a scrap to do some stamping on. I have my piece that measures 2 inches by 3 1/4. And then I have this piece that is just an 1/8 of an inch bigger. So it is 2 1/8 by 3 7/8. So, 3 3/8, just to do that little bit of layer. Okay, so the stamping. This is Smokey Slate cardstock, so I'm going to be using Smokey Slate ink. Let me just move this piece out of the way. And I just have 2 things that I'm going to be stamping. And so the first thing I'm going to stamp is just the sentiment for the front. These are just going to be little note cards tonight. So I'm going to stamp just a note right at the bottom of this piece of basic white cardstock. I'm going to set that just aside. And then I'm going to get my owl stamp, And I'm going to stamp 2 of them on this piece of Smokey Slate paper. There we go. And then I'm going to stamp a 3rd at the bottom of this piece of basic white cardstock that's going on the inside of my card. There we go. So the stamping for this card is all done. Now we just have to put it together. This is one of the things I love about a sketch. It just makes everything go so quickly because the thinking part of your card is all done. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. And this is just going to go on the inside of our card. There we go. And then on the front, these 2 pieces are going to go. So I'm going to add this piece right to the front of the card. So let's make sure it's all the way over. There we go. And I love how it, I love how our products coordinate. And so using the basic gray designer series paper, the Smokey Slate, excuse me, with the Smokey Slate cardstock, it just goes together so nicely. And then for this, I'm just going to cut out the edge of the banner. And it makes it really easy when it's striped cardstock. This, according to, if we go back to our sketch, it goes across this piece just below the top. So I'm going to add my adhesive here. And it goes right over to the edge. It's kind of a subtle difference between the 2. And this piece is going to be attached to that piece of Smokey Slate that I added. In the next card, I'm not adding any extra. But that's what I love about card sketches. You can make them your own. You don't have to do exactly what the sketch is asking you to do. And let me just get this on straight. There we go. And this I'm going to use dimensionals to pop it up on the front of the card. So tomorrow night in my Facebook group, Card Making Fun, we are going to be, it's going to be my first edition of Make It Monday, Stamp With Me, and it is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to use a card sketch too, and make some really pretty cards. Okay, so that's all done. The next thing is to cut these 2 guys out, which I've already done, so that makes it a little bit easier, the magic of video, so that I know you know how to cut. You don't need to watch me do that. And there we go. Our first card is all done. And you can see by the sketch, it is exactly the way the sketch wanted, except for this one little layer of cardstock. Okay, let's go on to our next card. Last week we used the cat and the dog, so this week I thought I would use the fox and the owl. So this is our next card. The difference I'm going to add to this one is I'm going to do a little stamping on the background, and notice that I turned the card sideways, so you can, using a sketch, so the sketch is showing like this. Well, I'm going to do it this way for this card. So let's get started on that. So we're going to do our stamping first. Like I said, I'm using pretty much the same stamps except a different animal, and it's going to be just a note card again. So we'll fold this is Cajun Craze cardstock, and I'm going to start with my stamping on these two things, and then we'll stamp our background. I will say that this ink pad is incredibly inky, so I am not going to be tapping hard on this because, as you can see, it inks right up quickly. So I'm going to stamp my little guy right inside, and then I'm going to stamp him on this paper as well. There we go. Put that aside. Grab our just a note. And again, like I said, this ink pad is so inky. So those two parts are stamped. And now all we need to do is stamp our background. Now I don't have to stamp the entire background because remember I'm going to be having a piece go right along here. So I can leave that middle section unstamped, and I have to be careful with this stamp because of how inky this all is. I don't want to, like I just there got it. I don't know if you can see, sometimes let me get to the right spot, the whole inside gets inked up, and I don't want to stamp it like that because then I'm going to get a paw print that no longer looks like a paw print. So I'm just keeping a paper towel here, so if that happens with this incredibly inky ink pad, then I can fix it. Because I definitely want these to look like paw prints. Oops, and I've got too much ink. That one doesn't quite look like a paw print. I didn't check it. And then I'm going to go right over here and didn't check it. It's okay if you get a little, because it's, as we know, it's a handmade card. I just am such a perfectionist. This stamp doesn't happen with other pads. I just didn't realize how sticky, how really, how inky this ink pad is. All right, so now we're ready to just put this together. So the other thing that I did that's a little different is I have the stripes on this going the opposite way. So that way it does make it a little different from the owl card that we did first. So I'm going to cut this banner again. And I am going to put this just coming like that. Okay, let's add the adhesive. I really like having the card families colors on hand for designer series paper, because then I have designer series paper that matches any of my cardstock. Just makes it nice to have that on hand. And this again is just going to go right below on that piece like that. I'm going to take my front here and use dimensionals again. But this time I'm not adding a background or a piece of the Cajun Craze paper to it. And what I'm going to do when I put this on, if we remember from the card sketch, it goes over close to the side. I am going to center this one more, which again, with your card sketches, it's up to you what you want to do. So for this one, I am going to put it just down a little bit. And then we just need to put this in side. So if you're in my private Facebook group, the Card Making Fun, I hope you're going to join me tomorrow night. We're going to be using a sketch. I've already posted it in the group. And to make, I've got several samples. I'm going to make one with you, and I have several samples that I am also going to share. But we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And otherwise, I'm back Friday night for a Fun Fold Friday. And then, of course, I'll be back next Sunday night for another edition of Simply Stamping Sunday. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing the two ways we were able to use this card sketch. Let me just show it to you again. And remember, all you have to do is Google card sketches, and you will find a whole bunch. And they do help when you're in a bit of a crafting rut and trying to figure out what you can make. So this is tonight's cards. I hope you enjoyed them, and I will see you next Sunday night at 7 for another edition of Simply Stamping Sunday. Good night, everybody.